And today is the story of Lindbergh, Charles Lindbergh. Wikipedia shows his post was Brigadier General. That means seems to be an army post. But it was obvious that in those days the Air Force was not a separate entity. It was supposed to be a branch of army. So that is how the post is of the army. But actually, he was in the air wing of that army, United States Army. And he was a good flyer. He was making an attempts in flying with the different aircraft. The award of $25,000 was established something about 8 years ago. The span of the award was 5 years. That within 5 years, if anybody crosses from United States to Europe, crossing the Atlantic in a solo flight, then that award was to be given. In 5 years, no sizable or any significant attempt was made by anybody because the flying of the aircraft was somewhat primitive in those days. Capability of flying transatlantic was not even dreamt by the people. But the technology was advancing with such a speed that within 5 years, this started seeming attainable. So the organizers extended the date for another 5 years. And then many people attempted. But now it can be said that most of them failed to get any success due to the reason that they attempted the flights in multi-engined aircraft as well as with the crew of 2 or 3 persons. So as a result of that, the aircraft was to be large and naturally slow. The small aircrafts are usually fast, the large aircrafts are usually slow. So the aircrafts were slow. And they never had that much of the fuel which will take them from United States to Europe. And they had to leave their attempts halfway, landing somewhere in Atlantic and leaving their expedition halfway. Lindbergh was observing all this, and he decided that this will not be possible with the crew of 2 or 3. It has to be solo. The aircraft he selected was two-seater actually, but he decided to fly solo, thinking that one person less will help him get more fuel. But in his calculation, that much of the extra fuel also was little less. So he wanted more fuel to be carried. The question was where to put that tank. So he developed the tank in such a manner so that the aerodynamic shape of the aircraft should not be changed. The whole tank covered the entire windscreen in front of him, and he couldn't see in front. For the takeoff and landing, he had to peep sideways from the side window and then make a judgment of taking off and landing. And with such type of the aircraft, he made a couple of landings and takeoffs. And one fine day, he decided that yes, he was ready to go. And that day was 20th May of 1927. He decided to fly cross Atlantic. He took off from New York and then by and by he started approaching. The journey was uneventful. He didn't come across much of the problem so long as he was almost halfway through. But after crossing almost half his way, he started experiencing the loss of power on the engine because of the overheating. Engines were rated for the journey or for the continuous run of something about 15 hours. He had already crossed 15 hours of the flight and the engine was getting very much heated, and the heated engine usually loses the power. But then there is a saying that God helps those who help themselves. And this saying seems to have come true because at that time he was coming down and down and he was almost close to land on the water. He was just about 5 meters. The winds were building and the surface winds which were close to the waves were pushing the seawater very high in the air. The waves were rising, and Lindbergh was almost convinced that yes, now he had to just drop the idea. But at that time, a very large wave sprayed the cool water of the sea all over his aircraft. The engine cooled and immediately picked up the power. Again, Lindbergh could take his aircraft up in the air up to about 1000 feet or so on that power, and the further journey was much uneventful. His judgment and his direction finding was based only on one single magnetic compass. No GPS, no ground assistance was there. Well, nowadays we are making use of the GPS even in the cities to find the address. But in those days, while crossing the whole Atlantic, no ground support. You would not know where to go, and also by that time, when he was closing the European coast, it was already started getting dark. Because of the lights on the land, he could see that he's somewhere close, but his judgment and his magnetic compass was working well. He approached Paris, he made a couple of rounds, and then he landed at Paris on the 21st of May at night 11:30. You can imagine what could have been the conditions at that time. And the newspapers describe that at that time also, the roads approaching the Paris airport were traffic jam because so many people wanted to witness this feat. This feat was essential to make the people believe that the aircraft is a reliable medium of transport. Because until then, the aircraft were used for some simple tasks like delivering the mail from one city to another city, sending some material from one city to another city. That means a sort of the courier job. A couple of people could be flying and then making some stunts. So that was a sort of the entertainment as well, like in the circus. But the people had not been taking the aircraft seriously as a means of transport. The feat, that is why, was essential to make the people believe that yes, the aircraft also can be a reliable means of transport and it also can cross the oceans. So that is how the Lindbergh's flight became extremely successful, and then he received several honors worldwide. The world headlines were made by his feat, and the first transatlantic flight was completed by Charles Lindbergh.
For books by Mr. Madhav Khare, visit www.jyotsnaprakashan.com. For many other products, from paper gliders up to remote control planes, exhibitions, workshops, lectures, etc., write to hilarious.aeroclub@gmail.com or kharemg@gmail.com.